What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to your Tuesday touchdown. It's nothing personal, just Bills. I am host JTM. I got my two guys in the building with me as usual. Former NFL running back James Mallory. What's going on, James?
What up, what up? Let's get it.
And Bills beat reporter, Wolf 1080, Muki Hawkins. Mook, what's going on, my man?
What's good? What's good?
Not much, man. You know, it's been a very uneventful week, very quiet. Everybody's ramping up for draft, and we'll be getting to that in the next coming weeks. You know, I don't like to start the draft talk too early. You know, it gets a little monotonous. But we will be talking about a couple things tonight. Obviously, we have everybody's favorite segment, Bad Takes. This one will be on our guy, Doug Whaley, who I think you guys need to be a lot nicer than Mr. Whaley. But if you don't want to, that's fine. But I think you should be. The rumors of Stephon Gilmore returning to Buffalo, possibly, or the Bills' interest, not returning, but the Bills' interest in him, which, you know, I think they should have interest in him at this point in time. And Gabe Davis, you know, Emmanuel Sanders was on Good Morning Football this week, and he had a lot of good things to say about Gabe Davis and where he saw Gabe Davis trending as far as his career goes. And so we'll touch on that. And yeah, I mean, pretty uneventful week. I mean, the only really news we got out is obviously the Bills made the signings of Tyron Jones official this week, Ryan Bates official this week. They started announcing. They actually confirmed 5 of their 30 pre-draft visits this week. Safety Nick Cross from Maryland, Georgia safety Lewis Sine, running back Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M, Nicholas Pettifree, he's offensive lineman, and I tied in Isaiah Likely. All those guys have confirmed pre-draft visits here to Buffalo. So I mean, we're right towards the end of the draft season now. So but other than that, I mean, guys, it's been an uneventful week. I mean, James, you didn't really expect nothing. The Bills don't have anything for cap space. I think they have somewhere under $1 million, but over negative at this point in time. So around 400K, I believe, is what's being reported. James, I mean, you see anything interesting out there this week?
The Gilmore thing. That kind of, I ain't gonna say, you know what? I can't say it. It kind of surprised me. I knew they were looking probably at a veteran, but Gilmore, that one got me though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, you know, that's something that kind of surprised me. So if that, I know we'll talk more about it, but we'll talk about anything that kind of caught me off guard. That did catch me off guard.
Yep. Mook, you got a chance to talk to Ryan Bates today. I saw your quote out there. Obviously, you didn't get credit for the quote as normal as it seems in Buffalo media.
Well, I don't know about this.
Just said, Ryan Bates, he has some nice things to say about returning to Buffalo. I just give a quick little thought on that today.
Well, he never wanted to leave. You know, I keep saying that Buffalo is contagious. So, you know, it meant a lot for him, for the Bills to go ahead and match that offer because obviously, you know, he had the tender, which was like what almost close to $2.5 million. Not a bad tender, but you know when the team up the ante, and the Bills could stand matching that because it only equivalates to like what $4.4 million a year. So you know, give or take, they found $2 million that could pay him this year, and then obviously pay him for the duration. I mean, he only getting 8.8 in guarantees, so it only equivalates truthfully to $2.2 million. You know what I mean? But it's good to know that you're potentially your offensive line is set. You know what I mean? There's still competition out there, but right now, projection-wise, Morris center, you got Stafford and Bates as your guard, and then you got Spitzer Brown and Deion Dawkins as your bookends right now. So you still got Cody Ford as a quality depth piece. You still got Ike Boddicker, but he's not going to be available probably towards the end, you know, the third quarter of the season. You know what I mean? Dealing with that Achilles. So the Bills still have to create some quality depth on the interior. Probably going to get another swing tackle too. Darrell Williams is still available. So you never know, you know what I mean, what can happen right now. So this is the point in time in free agency where guys, I don't want to say get a little bit desperate, but they want to, you know, find themselves a home, and they're willing to take a bargain price to find themselves a home, but they're going to play, you know what I mean, for a contending team. And so Bills do have leverage in that regard. So you might see some old faces come on back for a short.
Yeah, I mean, this is one time when agents start getting the screw eye from their clients, and you may see a couple agents get fired. right, James? This around the time period where you start looking at your agent like, hey, man, you told me that we could get $20 million in open market.
Listen, if some action ain't popping, you like, hold on, man. I might need different representation, man, because this ain't working out the way you said it was. So that's when things start to get a little tight. Like, hold on, man, what's really happening here? But no, man, it's that time where, once again, like Muki said, you start looking at it like, all right, I need to find myself a home, get into an off-season program, get to know the system, get comfortable, find somewhere to live. People, for whatever reason, fans forget that these guys got to find places to live, find somewhere to live, get comfortable, get settled in, and get ready to have a successful year. So, that's where you'll start to see these bargain deals starting to come along.
School system for the kids, too, very, very big with a lot of players nowadays. But one of the things that I want to start off with today is actually Gabe Davis. Obviously, the last time that we saw Gabe Davis, it was in the AFC Championship game, and the guy was on his way to an historic performance with 4 touchdowns and what we thought was the game-winning touchdown. Unfortunately, 13 seconds of bad coaching ended that. But that's the last time we saw Gabe Davis. And obviously, last year around this time, we brought in Emmanuel Sanders, and we knew Gabe Davis would be number 3, as it kind of felt like the Bills brass were not ready for him to take that full-time role as the number 2 receiver across from Stephon Diggs. I personally think that was the correct move looking back at it. But Emmanuel was on Good Morning Football this week, and he made some comments about Gabe Davis, saying that he felt like he was on his way to being a Pro Bowl player. And we actually have that clip, and I actually want to play that because I think it's vitally important for people who did not see that. Because, I mean, if anybody knows receivers, it's Emmanuel Sanders. He's been around this league a long time, and he's been around some of the best receivers in this game. So we're going to play that for you.
Right? Then, obviously, I was playing last year, but Gabriel Davis stepped up on the scene, right? Mm-hmm. This guy is, to me, I've been around a lot of good receivers. He's a Pro Bowl.
You're not talking Diggs. You're talking Gabriel Davis.
Yes, this guy, the way he attacks the football, you give him an opportunity to start. Think about what he did in the Kansas City Chiefs game.
I know.
Right? Think about what he did. So now this is a guy who really, I feel like everybody's talking about, he's going to have a breakout year. He's a Pro Bowl caliber player. I've been around a lot of good receivers. Antonio Brown, Demaryius Thomas, name him, Michael Thomas. I've been around, this guy is different, and he's going to be a difference maker for us.
That's a pretty big endorsement. First of all, I love Emmanuel Sanders' opinion about football. He breaks things down to the T. He's been around the game. Obviously, he just had a pretty good season with the Bills at his age with batting and knee injuries. But as he said, he's been around Michael Thomas. He's been around Antonio Brown. He's been around other guys in their prime, Stephon Diggs, and he's saying Gabe Davis has that it factor. That's a pretty big endorsement, and I think that we can trust him in that. James, I'm going to come to you first. Gabe Davis, what about that endorsement from Emmanuel Sanders? What does that mean coming from a player standpoint, actually, having a guy like Emmanuel who's been around this league forever?
I mean, that's a huge compliment. That's saying a lot, especially somebody that's been around. I believe he is 2010 draft as well. So, he's been around for a long time. When you talk about the receivers he's been around, the work he's put in this league, and the respect that he has in this league, not for just what he's done on the field, but off the field. And he's known to be a smart football player. So he's very, very well respected around the league. So for him to say that, it means a lot. It tells us what we have in Gabe Davis. And I think Gabe Davis' future is going to be, he's going to get a long-term contract here in Buffalo. Let's not forget, Gabe Davis probably would have been a first-round pick if he didn't come out his junior year. If he'd stayed for another year, he probably would have been a first-round pick. The Bills actually stole him. So if you look into that, he probably would have been a first-round pick if he wouldn't have came out as a junior. So, we got to steal in Gabe Davis. I think he's a baller. Especially this third year. A lot of players usually break out their third year. So Emmanuel Sanders knew what the heck he was talking about. So this year could be a huge, huge year for Gabe Davis. So I'm expecting big things from him. He's a talented dude, man.
Muki Hawkins, Gabe Davis.
Well, just what James said. He was a steal, right? And that's why they call Brandon Beane the burglar, because he be stealing first-round picks in the meat potato rounds, a la third, fourth, fifth round. You get high production. Gabe Davis would have been a first-round pick if he would have ran a faster 40 time or anywhere else of a day 2 pick. We know There ain't that many receivers that go in the first round. So he definitely would have been a second round pick if he ran a faster 40. But hey, I'm glad whatever happened. He ended up sliding all the way to the fourth round, and Brandon Bean was able to pick him up. Kind of stunning his growth a little bit, playing behind Emmanuel Sanders, but obviously he rose to the occasion in the playoffs, and there's really no turning back. You cannot stunt his development any longer. Name any guy who scored 4 touchdowns in the game other than Jamar Chase last year. So you can't go back from that. So he just let you know right now, he's a solidified number 2 wide receiver, going into this season. So I like the pick. I like, what he's flashed. He's always flashed. He's flashed as a rookie. So now I say that, the Bills have one of the top 5 receiver combinations right now in Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis going into the season. Preseason, why? I know I was on my radio show talking about it. I said top 5. I went top 5. I went to that extreme. And I know I left some other guys out when I went to it. But, when you look at the overall production of if this guy can do this type of madness, what he's done the last game, you're only as good as your last game. Look for a breakout season for him. We saw it in Dawson Knox last year, and then you should definitely see it in him. If Cole Beasley can catch 80-something passes, Gabe Davis can potentially catch 100 passes.
I like the fact that I don't disagree with the top 5 receiver combination. Stephon Diggs and a Gabe Davis, and obviously if we say top 5, we're expecting a breakout year for Gabe Davis, and I don't think anything he's done should say anything outside of that breakout year is probably coming. If you want to go by the stats, and I know some people are statisticians and that's what they want to go by, but if you want to go by the numbers, he was consistent from year 1 to year 2. 56.5 catch percentage in year 1, 55.6 catch percentage in year 2. Now actually you want to see that go up, but hey, it's consistent. 7 touchdowns in year 1, 6 touchdowns in year 2, not including the 5 touchdowns they had in the playoffs. There's also a guy who's had 18 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons in the NFL. And then you go back 599 yards, 549 yards this season. Mind you, he only started 4 games this year. He started 11 games last year. So he kept up with the same production with more playmakers around him and a better offense with less playing time. That says a lot. I can't. It's upside down. You can't even see it. So that says a whole lot about him. I don't think he's going to be surprised. I think Gabe Davis is going to go over 1,000 yards this year, and that's not me being a fan or anything like that. I just think that this offense he's going to go over 1,000 yards because let's be honest, he's gotten better from year 1 to year 2, and he still has a guy like Stephon Diggs across from him that's going to take the complete pressure off of him. There's no pressure. There's no pressure on Gabe Davis. No. Stephon Diggs gets that pressure. There's pressure on Dawson Knox. Then you add a Jamison Crowder and an O.J. Howard. Gabe Davis is going to be the biggest benefactor to adding all these pieces around him. And let's add also in the fact that we're probably going to have a lot better running game and more consistent and more balanced. That screams breakout for Gabe. James, anything else to add on Gabe?
Yeah, I just like you said, man. Especially if we get that run game really cranked up, and then with a different OC, a different type of philosophy, and being able to, be a little more creative and do some things to get him open a little bit more. And well, not even gonna say open, but plays that's designed for Gabe Davis to really eat. I think he's really, really, really gonna shine this year, man. And we got one. We got one.
No, I don't think it's gonna come as any surprise. Like I said, Emmanuel Sanders endorsing him is the best thing that can happen. The reason I say that is just because the level of experience that Emmanuel's had, the level of success that Emmanuel Sanders has had, and the players he's seen. I don't think he's going to give you any garbage. He's not just going to go in there for good morning football and just to be friendly and just to do Gabe Davis a solid. That's not what he's here for. He's going to tell it like it is. Now, do I believe? Now, one thing I do disagree with Muki. I do disagree that the Bills kind of stunning his growth a little bit. I look at it this way, and work in the world of retail, right? I would say as you move up in the ranks, you have multiple managers, right? And as you go through those ranks, you learn a little bit, something different from each manager you have until you're ready. Sometimes if you go out there and you're put in a position that's kind of before your time, before you kind of fell a little bit. I think by pulling the harness back, because there's a lot of fans and a lot of analysts that are ready for Gabe Davis, but hey, he's number 2 receiver this year. I think that holding him back just a little bit, the fact that he had one more year to learn from Cole Beasley, one more year to learn with Stephon Diggs. We know that he worked out with Stephon last offseason. I assume he'll probably do the same again this year. But to bring Emmanuel Sanders and now also learn from Emmanuel Sanders, I think that's going to propel his career for the long term. Because, I mean, that's just experience you don't get, you know?
Yeah, I get that. But I still feel that he could have been used a little bit more than what he was used. I mean,
Yeah.
he was only really used when Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. I mean, if he showed you his rookie year that he's more than able and capable of, I feel that he should have been out there a little bit more. I mean, you know, once again, that's stable. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Right.
It's just kind of different. I mean, he had more production in his rookie year than he did his sophomore year. You know, so we know that, you know, it was Emmanuel Sanders factor. We know that, you know, the emergence of Dawson Knox took those targets away. You know what I mean? But I get your point. I get where you're coming from. I definitely get where you're coming from. So, right, no training wheels this year. Year
None.
3. Year 3. And here it is, right? Here it is. We keep talking about Stephon Diggs. He's going to be a guy that, you know, if he keep playing the way he's playing, then he's going to want $30 to $40 million a year. So they better.
Well,
be
not yet.
careful.
Not yet. Well, you can't say not yet because Christian Kirk got it, right?
All right. His numbers are going to be way better than Christian Kirk. His numbers right now is probably better than Christian Kirk's first 2 years.
Mm.
So, you know, when we talking about numbers, and numbers don't lie, right? You know, it's just business. What's this show say? It's just business.
Just business. What's what happens? What's what happens?
Be careful.
Bean has done a good job of keeping these contracts, you know, kind of compressed a little bit here in Buffalo to keep people here. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think we should all be expecting big things out of Gabe Davis. And yeah, I mean, there, like you said, there's no more training wheels. This is Mama saying, "Hey, okay, this is day 5 of us riding this bicycle. She about to push you down the road, and here you go. You're going down the hill, man. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens at this point. You either gonna ride or you gonna fall. That's it. If you fall, get up. Go ahead.
It's kind of interesting because he has the exact same stats as he had his rookie year.
Yeah.
Damn near exact same. 16 games. He ended up with 35 receptions in both years.
Mm-hmm.
He was targeted 62 times his rookie year. Yeah. Targeted 63 times his sophomore year. Almost 600 yards at 599. 549 this year. 6 touchdowns this year and 7 touchdowns this rookie year. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying. That screams consistency. There wasn't a sophomore slump, but the biggest stat that's there is with keeping those same numbers that he had, with keeping the consistency, there was 7 less starts. Mm-hmm. There were 7 less starts. I mean, that's huge, you know. So I don't know. I think that we should expect big things from Gabe Davis, and I'm endorsing Emmanuel Gabe Davis, the president, 2022. Let's go. We're running with it. But moving on, there was another big topic this week that got Bills fans up in arms here. Actually, 2 topics that got Bills fans up in arms. So we got to hear from our former GM, Doug Whaley, and you know, when we hear from Doug, you know, a lot of Bills fans they want to burn, they want to bring out the pitchforks and just burn everything. But Doug Whaley insinuated on a Sirius radio show that the Bills might have to deal or trade All-Pro receiver Stephon Diggs due to the cap space, and due to what the receivers are getting on the open market. Now, me personally, I think that the Bills are going to make sure they retain Stephon Diggs. I do believe that Stephon Diggs is going to do his best to remain here in Buffalo as well. But I actually do see what Doug Whaley is saying, and I actually understand why he's saying what he's saying. But I'm going to let you gentlemen go first. James, Doug Whaley, are you pulling out the pitchforks too?
Absolutely not. One thing that kind of upsets me is the Bills fans don't give him enough credit for the talent that he brought here. He brought the talent here for McDermott and Bean to wheel and deal and make moves to be able to set a strong foundation to do what they're doing right now. If they had bums in here, they wouldn't have been able to trade and get much back. They wouldn't have.
Right.
And Bills fans get a little emotional with it. He brought some talent here, man.
No, he did.
Did he do some things he probably want back? Of course.
Definitely.
I mean, shoot. Bean has. We can name a few things he's done that we like, yo, he was wilding, you know. But he does, to me, he does have a point. To be honest with you, I think the Bills might have something like, all right, listen, the framework of a new deal with Stephon Diggs, like, okay, this is what the framework of a new deal may look like. But with this new receiver market, I mean, that could throw everything out the window. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if in 2023, Micah Hyde and Stephon Diggs is gone. I wouldn't be surprised if we take a safety first two picks, or first round or second round. I wouldn't be surprised if we surprise people with a safety. I think Micah Hyde or Poyer is gone. I think it'd be Hyde. But you know, that's another story. But I think if you can trade him at the end of the season, if you're not going to pay him $30 million, I'm not in favor of paying a wide receiver $30 million. I'm not, because you can win without a $30 million wide receiver, without a stud, quote unquote. Right? You need a baller, but you know, if you could trade him, he definitely would get you a first round pick. I mean, that's something you got to entertain, because you're going to have to pay Gabe Davis as well, and then we're going to definitely draft somebody this year. So that wide receiver room isn't, you know, the depth in there isn't what people really think. So, you know, I mean, they might be in a real sticky situation with that, and he does have a point. That may be something they may have to explore.
Muki Hawkins, Doug Whaley.
Doug Whaley, that's my man. You know what I mean? I ain't got nothing bad really much to say
I
about
love
that.
Doug.
I mean, he was on the right track. Some people was just on the wrong train. Rex Ryan came and screwed it all up. You know what I mean? I believe that. When you look at all the players that he brought, I mean, he brought in dogs. I mean, now everybody want to give me flack about EJ Manuel, but guess what? He didn't draft EJ Manuel. Buddy Nix drafted EJ Manuel. All right? So everybody need to stop giving Doug Whaley flack for EJ Manuel. I mean, I didn't mind the pick, you know, but don't put that on Whaley's jacket, because he's not the guy who drafted EJ Manuel. All right, that was Buddy Nix' last draft, and then Doug Whaley took over. You saw Doug Whaley took over, you started seeing BCS bowl boys walk up in here. You saw the Florida States, you saw the Alabamas, you saw the Georgias, you saw all the players that's used to winning. You saw the Clemsons, you saw all the players that's accustomed to winning here in One's Bills Drives, the USCs and stuff like that. Come on, man. If you tell me we had Shady McCoy, Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, I'm a Percy Harvin, Tyrod Taylor, Charles Clay. I mean, you mean to tell me we couldn't win the ball games with that? You know what I mean? So I don't. It wasn't Whaley. It was more or less Rex Ryan, and you know, Rex Ryan screwed that up, because you know, Whaley would have wanted Jim Schwartz to be the head coach, because you got to keep in mind the defense was one of the best defenses out at that point in time. All four front guys had double-digit sacks, the original cold front. But Rex Ryan came and screwed that up. And then when you look at all his picks that he drafted, they all left Buffalo and won Super Bowls. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I get what he's saying now. You know, like I said, everybody's making all this big speculation on just resetting the receiver market. And then everybody's looking at the production that Stephon Diggs had. And now it's like, what do the Bills do with that? Because now he seems undervalued, you know what I mean, based upon his production. And, you know, it goes hand in hand, you know what I mean, where you're going to get this type of production anywhere else, where you're going to have a team investing you that way offensively. Obviously, you know, you had to get traded to this place for a team to invest in you offensively that way, because it wasn't happening in Minnesota with the big contract. So it goes hand in hand, and I'm quite sure Stephon Diggs is going to be real smart. It's not going to be stuck in his ways and reference to, oh, I need to be the highest paid out here because look at my numbers, and you know, my numbers is way more better than the next person that's getting way more money than me. But he do need to be compensated, but at what
Properly.
risk? I mean, if we're going to pay him $30 million, then you're going to risk either Tremaine Edmonds not being re-signed, Dawson Knox not being re-signed, or like Jay said, Poyer being let go. Somebody's gonna, be the fall guy in reference to satisfying Diggs. So the Bills gotta think strategically. They gotta think a little bit more smart on how they can spread those dollars out, keep everybody happy, and keep everybody on the roster at the same time. So we're gonna see if Stephon Diggs is a team player or not very, very soon.
I think by the end of the preseason, to be completely honest with you, I don't think this is going to be a topic anymore. I think they're going to get his contract done. And I get why people get nervous with the parameters of the contract, because you see what happened in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill, and you read the reports and it says they had parameters set. Then all of a sudden Christian Kirk gets 21, and then Devontae Adams gets 29, and Tyreek Hill like, oh, wait a minute, I need my 30. I don't think Stephon Diggs is that guy. And let me remind you of Tyreek Hill. And I love Tyreek Hill as a football player. But Tyreek Hill was the same guy last year when the Kansas City Chiefs asked him to restructure his deal so they could free up enough money to be Joe Thuney and to try to compete for another Super Bowl. He said no. So if you try to tell me that Stephon Diggs is that guy, you're 110% off. You're 110% incorrect. He's not that guy. I think, too, Tyreek Hill is a different situation. He has his one Super Bowl already. He has his 2 Super Bowl appearances. Stephon Diggs hasn't had that yet. That's what he's gearing towards. That's what he's trying to get to, is that Super Bowl appearance, that Super Bowl ring. Now, maybe after that, if the Bills get that this year and they ain't have a new deal locked in, then maybe we come back to this table with a little bit different discussion. Then maybe he will Smith's Brandon me and then say, hey, I need my money. Okay? Maybe at that point we have a different discussion. But until he gets that ring, I don't think we're at that point. But I do want to discuss on the Doug Whaley thing, because we do have bad takes tonight, and it is a Doug Whaley bad take. But I will say this.
We just had one pop on the screen too.
Doug Whaley was not the worst GM in Bills history, and is not even close. I'm going to tell you, I can give you 3 GMs almost off the top of my head that he was better than. Buddy Nix, Marv Levy. Yes, I know Marv Levy is the beloved head coach of the Bills and a Hall of Fame guy, but as a general manager, he's probably the worst general manager in the history of the Bills. And I'd probably say Tom Donahoe. I'd probably say he was better than Tom Donahoe. So,
Russ
and
Brandon.
honestly, yes, he was better than Russ Brandon, who was actually his boss, because if people really want to get serious about Doug Whaley, he's really your assistant GM, because everything that he did had to go through Russ Brandon to get approved. He didn't even have his own
I can
office.
tell you how that whole process worked in 2010. Don't get me started.
Matter of fact, James, enlighten us a little bit of how the Bills organization was run, because this is going to tie into the Stephon Gilmore phase, because the Bills recruited you and actually tried to sign you in 2010, correct? Please tell me how Russ Brandon this worked.
I don't want to knock him. I ain't gonna knock him.
No, we gonna knock him.
He's
It's
a
nothing
cool
personal.
Dude.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude, but I got to keep it all the way official. It's just in my bloodline. That's how I do. But there was a lot of different people you had to go through before a decision was made in Buffalo. Let me say that. And Doug Whaley wasn't calling shots like people think. He had that title, yes, but was he pulling the trigger a lot of times? No, not even. And that's why, I mean, it was other draft prospects was like, yo, you don't want to go to Buffalo, dude. Like, literally, that was what people were saying. Like, you don't want to go there, man. It's super crazy there. It's unorganized. Like, I heard some crazy stories, and I ain't even gonna talk about it on air. I heard some crazy stories about how things go down there, how a GM may be telling you something and somebody else overpower them, and then don't go down like that. And promises were made, and he said, "Well, this guy said it can't happen." Yeah, it was real, some funky stuff going on. That's the reason why I think it was part of the reason why we had that long ass playoff drought.
And that's part of the reason why you did not sign in Buffalo. You decided to sign with Tampa Bay instead of Buffalo, correct?
I would have looked at the situation different if they didn't draft CJ Spiller in the first round.
Okay.
When it come down to it, it was nobody in Tampa. I mean, you had Cadillac Williams, that was old. You had Ernest Graham. I'm like, yeah, it's just a better opportunity there. When you had Marshawn Lynch, Fred Jackson, CJ Spiller, yeah, you probably not gonna make the team.
But no, man, I just think Doug, I think it got to come to a point where you have to give Doug a little bit of credit for their turnaround here because of the talent. Now, obviously, the Bills didn't put it together when he was here. I put a lot of that blame when I thought we were putting together on the Pagulas for hiring Rex Ryan, which was an absolute train wreck. I mean, anytime, and this goes through the history, even Buddy Ryan, and nothing against Buddy Ryan. And, you know, God rest his soul. But anytime you bring any of those Ryans in, it's good for like the first couple years. It's like having a girlfriend, okay? And you're going on dates, you're cool, you really like this girl, and then you move her in the house, and it's just a train wreck. She uses the bathrooms, leaves the toilet seat up. She doesn't clean the toothpaste off the mirrors. It's just a complete train wreck. That's what happens with the Ryans when you bring them in, and it's always been that way. And we're going to talk more about the Bills organization when we get into the Stephon Gilmore conversation next. I just think that at some point we do have to give Doug Whaley a little bit of credit because, like I said, if you go back, and I did this the other year, you look at the roster that he was given when he took over this job. It looked like something out of a Division II school. It really did. He didn't put it all together, but he replaced guys like David Nelson with guys like Sammy Watkins and Robert Woods. And that's speaking to your point, Muki. Right? He replaced guys like Sean Marion, who we signed off the waiver wire, with a guy like Mario Williams. So it's the talent was here to able to entice a guy like Sean McDermott and Brandon Breen to take this job, because in the past, guys wouldn't even take interviews here. So let's just be honest about that. You know what I mean? And Doug Whaley was never at the head of anything here in Buffalo. As you said, James, he didn't make any calls. Everything had to go through Russ Brandon, who had no football experience. He's a marketing guy, and believe you, we all marketed real well by Russ Brandon. He gave us something to believe in every single season. Every single year we had something to give us a believe in.
And I got a comment. Somebody said Marcel Darius contract. Whoever the gentleman was that put that on there was the worst contract ever.
No.
You're wilding. Whoever he is, you're wilding. Marcel Darius was a baller. The marijuana rules is what messed that whole thing up with him being suspended and all that. His play never was an issue. That dude can play. He was suspended. So to say that was the worst contract ever, dude, go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and try it again, because you're talking out your behind because your mouth know better. That's preposterous. That dude was a baller. He got suspended due to the marijuana thing.
Right, but then again, hold on, Muki, I'm gonna come right to you real quick. But then again, at the same time with Marcel Darius, he got that contract because he's putting up double-digit sacks almost at the defensive tackle spot. He was a top 3 defensive tackle. He was a Joe Source. He's killing me. You Drake Becky too? No, I ain't dating. Kind of. The Marcel Darius was a top 3 defensive tackle in the league. It was him. It was your guy down there, Jared McCoy, and it was one more. I forgot who the third one was. Those are the top 3. Mook.
And Dominican Sue.
There you go.
Well, I was there for every step of the way because, at one point in time, Marcel, I still got the keys to Marcel's house. So it's kind of crazy on that last suspension. He was just like, it goes all the way to racing Jerry Hughes, at the end of practice, and this, they cars crashed, and he got away from him, fled the scene and all that stuff, and they made a big spectacle out of that. And then with the weed situation, it wasn't that he tested negative for weed; he tested positive for marijuana. He had a conflict in schedule. He had a interview with the NFL Network the same day he had to go take the piss test. And he didn't take the piss test because he had another.
It's an automatic fail.
It's an automatic fail. So everybody, think that, he tested dirty and all that stuff. That's what happened. It was just an automatic fail. And then now once you fail, all your past just perceives you and stuff like that. So, it kind of weighed on him a little mentally. And then when you got a new coach coming in, the new coach got to make an example out of you. So, that's how that goes. It was kind of like a strain, but Rex Ryan really messed that squad up, especially that defensive line, because, here it is. Once again, it was all double-digit sacks. You got a guy that still had double-digit sacks and was getting double-teamed, okay? Now, if Starler Tulele was getting double-digit sacks and was getting double-teamed, nobody would be saying anything about Starler Tulele right now, but that's not happening. That's not even happening with Ed Oliver right now. All right, so Marcel Darius was that. I mean, he still can play, but at the end of the day, that was. I mean, he was a baller in that time. You know what I mean? So you can't take nothing away from that. Rex Ryan just messed that team up, going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and that's where you see the drop off drastically. And the defensive line ain't been the same since.
Right. And you know what? And that's why. And I don't even say Rex Ryan messed up. I say the Pagulas messed it up because they are the ones who hired him, knowing that he was bringing a 3-4. That's why to this day now the Pagulas stay out of football operations. They stay in their office and they let Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane do their job because of that situation there. And I give them credit because that was their learning experience. That was their introduction to the NFL. They made the mistakes. They overcame that as well. So much kudos to them. But there were some players and some coaches who got caught up in that crossfire. And Marcel Dare is one of them. And speaking of your point, Muki, I'm not going to say where I got the source information from, but as you spoke on the new coach, yeah, Doug Marrone made an example out of Marcel Darius, not once, not twice, not three, but it was almost an everyday thing situation with Marcel Darius, making him run in front of the team, coming at him in the locker room at halftime, after games, blaming him individually. There's a lot of things that went on with Marcel Darius in Buffalo that people would have no idea about what happened. And I think that's part of the reason that Doug Marrone also traded for Marcel Darius in Jacksonville as an apology to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. My bad.
Nah, let me tell you how Marrone operates. Marrone is a straight asshole, bro. He did the same thing. He did the same. No, just keep the pattern. He did the same thing to Mike Williams. Remember, Mike Williams is in Syracuse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember when it flashed up that Mike Williams quit the football team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't quit the football team. He slotted that they were out past curfew. It's no curfew when after a game. They were out at the casino chilling, and just say all four of us go out, and you got a girl that you want to meet, Jeremy. So I'm your wingman. I'm gonna go out with you, right? I ain't trying to rock the boat. I'm ready to leave, but I'm rocking out with you. So they're on their way home. They get rear-ended by a tractor trailer. Might get ejected from the car. Mike's in shock and everything, and the only thing Doug Marrone can say is, who was out past curfew? You know what I mean? So he was trying to stunt Mike's growth because Mike was a top receiver at that point in time, and he was getting his stock was up. So in order to get that stock to come down and have Mike come back is to do that type of stuff. So, everybody was standing up for Mike saying it was me, coach. It was me, coach. And he was like, no, it wasn't you. So Mike finally stood up and said it was me. Said, yeah, you're suspended, the next 3 games. It was only 4 games left in the season. So Mike said, I might as well quit, and walked out. And then Doug Marrone go to the media and say, hey, Mike Williams just quit our team. Don't ask me, go ask him. We went up there. Me and Ty Parker went up there the very next day because Joby Brandon, who's Von Miller's agent, once again called me and said, hey, do you know Mike Williams? I said, do I know Mike Williams? Of course I know Mike Williams. He told me we can still get him in the first round. All the GMs and scouts want to know, is he mature enough to be a millionaire? And that's another topic of discussion. But Joby Brandon, who is Von Miller agent, called me back in 2010. All right, with that right there. And we went up to Syracuse, and the coach, and we waited after practice to talk to Marrone. And Marrone told everybody, whoever speaks to us is done. So why would you trade for Mike Williams to come to Buffalo after you did that crap to him in Syracuse? Now, Mike was healthy scratches here in Buffalo, wasn't getting his money at all. They take half your money when you a healthy scratch now. You don't get your full check, right? So that's the type of asshole your man Doug Marrone is. Marrone Baloney is an asshole. I wouldn't want to play for him at all. So
and that's why no one's playing for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a bad coach to play for.
Yeah,
I mean, look what he did in Buffalo. Look what he did in Buffalo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a jerk.
He was a different type of dude. And Muki, where Mike Williams was talking about transferring to when it happened? Central Connecticut. I have to write on the phone.
Right.
Because if you transferred at that time 1A to 1A, you got out of here. Me and him had a long discussion. He was this close to coming to Central Connecticut because he went to that JUCO up there in Massachusetts. So he literally was 40 minutes away from me. We was this close to having him 2009 football season at CCSU.
Yeah, that Buffalo connection at CCSU. James Pablo Casale, yourself, Farouk Muhammad, right? Farad Muhammad, yeah, Buffalo
Corey
connection.
Hart.
Corey Hart, yeah, Buffalo connection down at CCSU. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we went way off topic, but I think that people need to understand these things that happen at One Bills Drive to understand how we got to this point. the hand that Doug Whaley was built, he didn't have a situation where players were going to take pay cuts right now. He didn't have guys coming back on pay cuts. He didn't have guys wanting to come to Buffalo because they weren't a contender yet. They didn't have anything. They hadn't built it up yet. But unfortunately, I'm not saying he would have been a great GM. I don't really know. I know he built it. He laid some pretty decent groundwork. When you can build a top 5 offensive line and you can build a top 5 defensive line, that's great groundwork. That's where they was at. That's where it kind of got cut off at the knees at. So we don't know what happened. But as I say, Doug Whaley was not the worst GM in Bills history. I do believe Marv Levy was. But since we are on top of Doug Whaley, that does bring me to my next topic. And just on the Marcel Darius, because I know a lot of hate comes Darius' way. Jerry Hughes, Mario Williams, Kyle Williams never had the seasons they had when they were not playing with Marcel Darius anymore. Just want to put that out there. None of them had the season ever again. And when Marcel Darius is gone, that was the big boy in the middle.
I'm sorry I got off topic. I had to bring him up. Dude, put that on their worst contract ever. He was tripping. I had to address that.
Well, because people see what happened with the contract, but in the day, we that's the point in time in Buffalo history where we were overpaying for guys. We
paid him. People were saying that was a bargain. When we paid him, they were saying that was a bargain the way he was playing.
Right. So, but either way, moving on. It is time for that segment right now of bad takes. And this week, the bad take segment is on Doug Whaley, although I don't agree with all of you guys. But I'm going to let you voice your opinion anyway, because that is what we do. So, starting with bad take number 1, Doug Whaley edition. Says the guy that traded up for Sammy Watkins. This is in reference to him saying the Bills might have to trade Stephon Diggs due to the contract. Bad take number 2. I feel like the sweet potato has more credibility than he does when it comes to comment on the Bills. All I'm going to say is Aaron Maben. I get your point, but he also did not draft Aaron Maben. He was not the general manager. I believe that was Buddy Nix. Am I mistaken, Mookie?
That was Buddy.
Our good old friend Buddy.
Wow.
The water bug Buddy, as I like to call.
You gotta understand, Doug Whaley came from Pittsburgh, so he didn't, he wasn't accustomed to that type of stuff. He was bringing in hot boys. And one thing I can say about Whaley did, only thing he did control when he was the GM was the draft. Other than that, he didn't control nothing else. That was it.
Didn't even have an office, by the way. Just want to say that. He had a cubicle with the other workers. He didn't even have an office. And I don't want to tell you how I got the information, but he didn't have an office. Bad take number 3. Doug Whaley is a moron. He sucked when he was a GM. He can't hold a candle to Bean, let alone do math to keep Diggs. Go away, Whaley. Hey, just saying, Doug Whaley also didn't negotiate contracts. Jim Overdorf did, and he still negotiates those to this day. Just want to throw that out there. Bad take number 4. Yeah, I don't think we need the guy who traded the franchise away for Sammy Watkins and drafted E.J. Manuel as the franchise quarterback should be weighing in on what to do with our all-pro receiver. He didn't say weigh in on what to do. He just said what he thought was going to happen. Jeez, people, so angry. And bad take number 5.
He didn't draft E.J. Manuel.
No, he actually said to trade back again before drafting E.J. is what he actually said. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there. James, final take. Drum roll, please. Bad take number 5 and final take of the night, Doug Whaley edition. What did this dude ever know about cap management? Doug is a bum in a nice suit, period.
These people are hilarious.
That's all that about.
Bad takes.
Rick Brown says, what did I say about Marvin Lewis? I said he was the worst general manager in Bills history. If we're being critical and we're being legit, he was the worst general manager the Bills had. It's either him or Buddy Nix. It has to go to one of those two. And I know people forget that Marv Levy was general manager for a span for 2 years, but he was actually awful. Didn't he draft J.P. Lossman? No, he didn't draft Lossman. That was Donahoe, right?
Yeah, Donahoe drafted Lossman.
But he started Lossman, and he's actually the GM who traded Jason Peters away. I am, if I'm not mistaken. But that's your bad takes for the week. Doug Whaley, you guys have no love lost for him, I see. And we're going to move on to our final topic of the night. And this topic is on Stephon Gilmore. So there was a report earlier this week saying that there were 3 teams interested in acquiring the service of the former All-Pro cornerback Stephon Gilmore: the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles, and thirdly, our Buffalo Bills. All right. Another guy who has been here before, another player who he said some not so nice things about Buffalo, which I didn't take offense to, and I will talk about that too tonight, because a lot of fans were not happy when they heard him. We know about the burnt toast jokes and all that. I get it. But at the end of the day, we are going to talk about Stephon Gilmore, and should the Bills acquire him, will it help? We do have a whole Levi Wallace, and actually some bit of information came out today that Levi let out. The Bills did offer him a contract, and they left him on the table, and it was his choice between Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So they did offer me. I was surprised. At 2 years, $8 million, I'm like, they didn't offer
Muki
that.
was in on negotiations.
Right.
How much you would offer to Mook?
You want to see the contract? Yeah. See the contract.
Oh man, you gonna call him scouting report?
Yeah.
Oh, you gonna do 1.5 million.
That's why he took his
Below the minimum.
That's below the minimum. He can't even make that less. Oh, I'm crying, man. Wait, man. I'm gonna let you guys know that Levi Wallace is a very nice human being. Okay.
He is.
Yeah, he's very nice. He's very nice. He's very into music. He can sing. He's a very nice guy. But moving on.
Nice on third down too. Real nice on third down.
Oh man. Oh man. Come on, man.
Real nice in 13 seconds.
Oh, that's awful, man.
Very nice in 13 seconds, by the way.
Mookie said his new number in Pittsburgh should have been 13.
Mm-hmm.
But
What is his new number? He went back to his college number?
I don't know. Actually, I didn't get that far with it when we went to Pittsburgh. I just seen the picture, said, "All right, good luck," and I kept pushing. But no. So Stephon Gilmore. So a lot of fans are not in on this because of his comments about when he left Buffalo. And the only thing that the man said is, now my family can finally see me get to play. He didn't say anything outside of that. I mean, he wasn't lying. And if he was to trash the organization, which he could have, he may not have been lying. Honestly, he probably would have been lying. He probably would not have been lying about anything that he said about this Bills organization at the time. Mookie, I'm going to come to you first. Stephon Gilmore, obviously we know the Bills cap situation. Should they entertain this? Should they actually look into this? Do you think he'd actually be interested in coming back? Because his wife says otherwise.
I mean, yeah, his wife said otherwise, but at the end of the day, she don't play the game. You know what I mean? And she don't dictate where he goes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's all about what Stephon wants. And, I know it's a two-way street. The Bills have to meet him both ways. He's not going to play for free. He's not going to play for $2.5 million. All right. It has been some interest there. Obviously, they checked the check. I tell you, it goes all the way back to the combine when everybody was talking about, it's been players that reached out to the Buffalo Bills and stuff like that. And everybody was saying, it's Chandler Jones. And, where Chandler Jones at now? Chandler Jones ain't in Buffalo. You know what I mean? But you go back to March 2nd. Go back to March 2nd and this cryptic tweet that Stephon Diggs put up. Who would have thought, with the googly eye emoji face? And I'm like, that means Stephon Gilmore might be trying to come back home. Because who would have thought at the combine March 2nd? Why would he put that crazy tweet up March 2nd while everybody's at the combine? If there wasn't no talks of, a reunion of him coming back. So he's not signed anywhere. There's no rush for him to sign nowhere because, here it is. It's either you're going to play for a contending team for less money or you're going to, get it back for a team that's in the middle of the pack. And you don't have to rush for that. You can just wait and see where the cards lay when the season starts. Just stay healthy, stay in shape and wait for the phone to ring if that's the case. Or you go ahead and, lock up with a contending team and, go ball out and compete for a Super Bowl. So, it's a lot of things to weigh. You got Kansas City that's talking. You got who else? You got Cincinnati that vied for his services. You got the Raiders who vied for his services, but no contract. So potentially it may happen. You know, if the Bills can find a few more dollars somewhere, let's say anywhere between 5 to 6 million, 1 year deal. I'm quite sure Stephon Gilmore would entertain coming back home for at least 6 million. I mean, he did it for Emmanuel Sanders.
Right.
If they had that type of money to give, you know what I mean.
Why
It
not?
just let me know that the Bills are definitely looking for a veteran corner because he's not the only one that they reached out to. Obviously, Patrick Peterson, Steve
Yeah,
Nelson,
that was confirmed.
Joe Hayden
Yep.
has been playing golf with Von Miller already. So they're looking for a veteran guy because Tre'Davious White is not going to be available for the first quarter of the season. So, they need a veteran guy that's going to be out there as well as a high-profile cornerback that's coming in this year's draft. They might make a quick stab at Sauce Gardner if he slides to 7, with at the Giants pick or something like that. They may make a move. You never know. You never know.
But it's clear that two things are clear here. A, they want another cornerback. B, if they could come in the form of a veteran, somebody they know, then they'll do it. James, Stephon Gilmore.
I'm not against it. I like it. I think if you look at it long term, I think it works for both ways. Both parties. You're a veteran receiver who wants to win.
Cornerback.
Buffalo, great situation. You at the end of you get into the end of your career, you go into a zone heavy scheme. That's better for the body, better for maybe, losing a step. And then he has one thing that we don't have in that cornerback locker room now, and that's height. We don't have it. We don't have, Trey Day is what, 5'11", 5'10". If we get a little more height right there, I mean, that helps. I mean, we have trouble with bigger physical wide receivers. AJ Brown. We don't have nobody to match up with him physically. But you get somebody like Stephon Gilmore, that kind of changes that. Where, he ain't no bully ball with him. That's one thing. He's not going to back down from a challenge. And another thing with the young guys we have there, he's known for being an extremely hard worker. So with him and Tre'Davious White, whoever they draft, and even the young guys that they have on the roster now, man, who else would you want them to learn from? You talking about 2 All-Pros. I mean, that's just a perfect scenario in that situation. I would love that. Or Joe Hayden, because Joe Hayden gonna bring attitude. He gonna bring some swag to that room, and that's one thing I think they need. They need that attitude. So I think it would be a good situation. I definitely will welcome him back, and especially you talking about a number one. He's still a number one corner in this league.
Almost
being
definitely.
your number 2 corner down the stretch. I mean, come on, man. What more can you ask for?
And that's the biggest thing. So, and I think he actually brings one more thing to the DB room that we don't have: a Super Bowl and championship experience and what he brings. And I know, I mean, like I said, when he was here, he was one of those. Bills Mafia always has that one player or 1 or 2 players that they just harp on. Gilmore happened to be one of those. I know you guys have all seen the burnt toast meme that comes out every time we play him, but for you to sit here and pound the table that we have to re-sign Isaiah McKenzie, or cry and whine that we cut Christian Wade, who will never play a meaningful down at football in the NFL, and to tell me that we don't need Stephon Gilmore, bang your head on the wall twice. And when you wake up from your concussion, bang it again. Because that's literally what you're telling me. You're telling me that Isaiah McKenzie is super important. We have to have him back. Christian Wade should have been given an opportunity. But then in the same breath, you're telling me a guy who's been gone from Buffalo for 5 seasons now and has 4 Pro Bowls in those seasons, 2 defensive All-Pro selection, and 1 defensive player of the year, that he's not more important or better pickup than those other 2 guys. Bang your head on the wall. You can sue me if you do it too. I don't care, whatever.
Josh Norman got $6 million.
Exactly. We've been through Josh Norman. We've been through EJ Gaines twice.
At least he balled the first time.
No, at least I'm not. That's not a knock on EJ Gaines. That's not a knock on him. I'm just saying the carousel that we're going through and trying to find his number 2 cornerback spot. And this year, I wouldn't even call it number 2 cornerback spot. I will call it a corner and a half spot. And the reason I said it because, as Muki pointed to, Tre'Davious White is probably not ready till halfway through the season. And as we know, when you play ball, you need at least 4 games to get into football shape. So he's not going to be ready. Guess what? Insert Stephon Gilmore if you can. Yeah, we don't have the cap space to do it right now, but hey, restructure some contracts, do what you got to do. You figure that part out later. You can't tell me that he doesn't upgrade the secondary and it doesn't instantly make Buffalo the top secondary in NFL. So what you're hoping with Von Miller is that your defensive line becomes the best defensive line in the NFL. Well, guess what? Your defensive line directly affects the cornerbacks play, right? Defensive backs. Well, if that goes on and that becomes the best defensive line in the NFL and you have the best secondary in the NFL, you automatically have the best defense, but you're making plays and you're getting turnovers to go along with maybe the best offense in the NFL. That is a solution or some type of concoction, whatever you want to call it, meal prep into a Super Bowl. Get over it. Get over it. He was right about Buffalo. I'm sorry. All you people that's mad about because he said, my family finally gets to see me. You were the same people complaining that all they give us is a crappy Thursday night game against Cleveland. You were the same ones complaining about it. We get no primetime games. The only time they put us on primetime was to get ran out the building by New England and to show all the crazy Buffalo fans in Chewbacca suits. I know you remember the Chewbacca suits that people used to wear. So he was right. Don't get mad because he told the truth. But what we did not hear about Stephon Gilmore is we never heard that he was a horrible teammate. We all knew people in those locker rooms. He was never a bad teammate. You can testify to his hard work. He was always a hard worker, as you said, James. And yeah, maybe his last year, maybe he did play not to get injured. Hell, I would have too. I'm not going to the playoffs. I ain't going to the Super Bowl. I ain't about to break my collarbone again. Let's keep that in mind that he did break his collarbone. Did he break it twice?
I think he broke his wrist. But you got to still look at this too, Jeremy. The Bills didn't have enough money to sign him when his contract was up. You know what I mean? Because we were already over crazy dead cap space. You know what I mean, at that point in time. And now, when the New England Patriots paid you $15 million a year at that point in time, that's pretty much, top cornerback money, if you ask me. And at that time, New England was the top dog. So if the top dog is paying you that, and normally the top dog, which is the New England Patriots, don't spend no money on free agency that way. That's saying something a lot about Stephon Gilmore. You know what I mean? So, that's how it is. We didn't have money to keep him. We would love to have him there with a rookie Tre'Davious White. We never know what could happen. But that's just how it is, right? That's why this show is called, it's not personal, it's just business.
Business. We trying to get into the business of winning Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about nobody damn feelings. I don't care about nobody feelings, man.
That'd be a signing after the draft because you know what's going to happen after the draft unfolds. A veteran going to be gone. Who? I don't know. Muki, you know how I go. JT, you know how I go. Somebody's going to be gone. A veteran that we're not expecting is going to be gone. Trade, release, something going to happen after the draft. That's just what it is. How the cookie crumbles. So that could be the time to maybe bring them in after you let somebody go.
Like I said, man, I hope this happens. I'm praying for this to happen. And I barely pray for anything for football operations. I stopped paying back. I stopped praying for the Bills. I stopped praying for the Bills back in 2007. At that point, I just thought that all my prayers were on deaf ears and they just didn't care. So I stopped. I stopped. But I pray for this to happen. Because like I said, I think this is that move that puts it over the top. I think this is the move that stops KC. That shuts up Miami if they want to talk a little bit. They want to whisper in the ear just a little bit. This shuts everything up. When you get to the divisional playoff game and you have to come into Buffalo and the weather ain't going to be pretty and there's Stephon Gilmore on one side, Tre'Davious White, a healthy Tre'Davious on the other side, with Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Teron Johnson, and other defensive back spots, you have a major problem on your hands. Oh, by the way, we have a Von Miller who probably plays 60% of snaps in the season and is fresh. Good luck. Good luck to you and good luck to your coaching staff because that's not a problem that I don't think anybody in NFL would want to see. So, But we're gonna take some questions. I'm sorry I went on my little rant tonight, but
Talking that talk.
but I go back to my post years ago. I didn't want to see Stephon Gilmore go. I wanted to see them at least franchise tag him and trade him, but not for free. And everybody said, "Oh, it's okay. He's going to the Bears. Doesn't matter." And you woke up that damn morning and said New England, and guess what? Everybody said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's burnt toast." But you was a little worried. You was worried that he was going to deliver, and guess what? In New England, he delivered too. Played on the biggest stage. He played his best games. You better remember that. But I want to get some questions here. So if you guys know, it's a couple questions I saw up here that I want to get to here. My man Major Cole says, "Hey JT, what would be the easiest way to free up cap space to trade away some picks for next year's draft?" Obviously, we still got the restructure of Deion Dawkins that you can use. You can still restructure Tre'Davious White's contract. Those moves together could probably free up enough money. One of those moves could free up enough money to get Stephon Gilmore here, but you also have to sign your draft this year. We can't forget that. The Bills don't even have enough money right now currently to sign out their draft pick, so they're going to have to free up a little money there. Like I said, a release that Muki said last week of Tyler Medikevich, a release of Andre Smith. Medikevich would be $2.5 million. Andre Smith would be on $1.1 million free. So a couple moves that way that you can structure it. And then also doing what you did with Von Miller. If it's anything outside of a 1-year deal, instead of giving him a 2-year deal with a low cap for year one, give him a 3-year deal and put a void year at the end of that contract with maybe $2 million remaining. Like kind of we did with Mario Addison. Mario Addison, he's not on our team anymore, but we still have to pay him $2 million for this season. Something like that to just push money back a little bit. So it's a way they can manipulate and get it done. Let's see. Another question here. My man Marcos Mendez on YouTube says, "Mook, I'll let you two guys go first. In your opinion, what would be reasonable both sides if we were to sign Gilmore?"
What would be reasonable for both sides? Like I said, anywhere between as low as 5 and as high as 7. You know what I mean? Somewhere between there. I mean, in the 1 year, you get an opportunity to play for a contending team. Super Bowl or bust. You ball out this year, then you go get your bag somewhere else after you win another Super Bowl. This house, you see the Von Miller route, right? He had 1 year left on this deal. He made the most of that in the Rams, and the Bills ended up throwing that bag at him this late in his career. So guys can mimic that the same way here in Buffalo. Come play, still for a baby bag, and you'll get your big bag next year. When you win the Super Bowl. Then you're a hot commodity now on the market.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, I can't agree with Mookie anymore than that. He said it perfect. Between 5 and 7 million. 5, I don't think he takes 6. I think he'll say yeah 2. He's probably looking for 7. So anywhere in that range, I think is good.
If he's looking for anything more, I don't know if he played for Couture. If he wants any more money than that, he's going to Kansas City. And I'm just gonna be real with you guys. That's where if he wants something like upwards of $9 to $10 million, he's gonna go to Kansas City. And I know that's gonna hurt, but that's where he's gonna head because Kansas City has $18 million free currently. Obviously, they have to get their draft, but it doesn't take them a little bit more money. It doesn't take them a lot of restructuring to get the $10 million they need for him. Let's see. George says prayer didn't work and the devil wasn't paying. Yeah, you got that right. Sure did. And my man Leroy Mud Dog Winslow asked, "How do you guys feel about the rumors wanting to trade up in the draft?" Now that we talked about this briefly last week, Mook, I'll let you go first. It's only one guy that we all agreed last week that we trade for, and I think that's still the same guy.
Still the same guy, man. Give me the sauce, baby. Put me in the sauce. We get Sauce Gardner and Stephon Gilmore to go along with that. Tre'Davious White. Oh, man, that's saying something. That's definitely saying something. But, yeah, I mean, either or. Either we're going to get a super veteran or we're going to get – let's go after the best cornerback in the draft. I mean, we got the draft assets to do it. What are we waiting on? We're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. We're not trying to wait for the next best available corner or the second best guy. Let's go out and get the guy. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if they win a Super Bowl, that pick turns into pick number 32. So the Bills don't lose out that way. I mean, you got to take some risks. So move up and go get Sauce Gardner, man. I mean, you give up your 25th pick this year. You give up your first round pick for next year. Potentially
third rounder this year.
You could throw a third rounder in or a fourth rounder in a player to be, you know what I mean? You know, to go ahead and move up against Sauce Gardner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I agree. Or just a playmaker or a receiver. Somebody, you got to be a boom player. Somebody that can flip the game for you, offensively or defensively. If you're gonna trade up, I'm with that. Gardner, obviously, he is. I mean, we know what it is. Or a receiver that's just gonna be dynamic. So it's one of those two for me. And let's be real, the Bills are going to trade at some point in the draft, and they're going to give up draft picks because they're not bringing in 9 rookies. It's not going to happen. So they're going to trade and get more picks in 2023 and 2024. When you're going to start losing more veterans because of the cap situation, Josh Allen money kick in. So they're going to trade at some point. We just don't know where. I'm all with it though. I'm all for it. As long as it's a boom type of player, somebody can make an impact.
I think another sweet spot that people aren't talking about. I mean, my sweet spot before was anything with the Eagles were around either round pick either 19 or I think it was 16. But obviously they made the trade with the Saints, so they're going to be out. Another sweet spot for a trade spot no one's talking about, I think it's 13 with the Texans. The Texans already have a top 5 pick, and there may be a spot where we may be able to package 25, maybe a guy like AJ Epinesa, who I know, James, you've been saying before. You've been saying on the show multiple times, don't be surprised if he's one of the veterans that is possibly moved. So I think 13 could be a sweet spot too to move up to maybe get if a Stingley is still on the board after Sauce. That may be a spot you come up to take Stingley, depending on which cornerback you have hires on your board. Because obviously if Gardner goes 7, your second rated cornerback may still be there at 13, depending on how the board falls. So that may be a spot to move up to get the second rated guy on your board, whether that's Stingley, a McDuffie, or even a Booth. But
I think Gardner may even go higher than 7, man. With it, no quarterbacks projected that like super high like usual.
Yeah,
he might even go top 5, man.
Well,
yeah, they
some of those
teams forward to the Jets.
Well, and that's the thing. The Jets and Giants both have 2 picks within the top 7. So they may just switch their board around a little bit and go cornerback first and then go back for whatever their primary position was, because they're going to have the wiggle room to do so. So it's gonna be very interesting. Let's see what we got. Sellers James says Diggs restructuring. If so, how would that help? I don't think a restructure will help for Diggs. I actually tell you the truth, an extension period would probably help. So not a restructure, but an extension would help, because it could bring down the cap hit for this year. You could bring the cap hit down for this year and put the money towards more to the back end and a higher cap hit. Kind of like Von Miller's deal was $8 million cap hit this season, but it's going to boom to around $22 million next year. So that's how an extension would help as far as freeing up cap space there. Juan Castillo says $5 million a bag. I'll take a fetus bag. Leroy Winslow says I'll streak naked if we drafted Sauce. That actually may be your first video bad takes if that happened. I'd probably get kicked off the air, and we'd probably have to try to find someone to blur it out. But that'd probably be your first video bad take. Okay. And Kenny Riggleman says Sauce and Stingley are only elite cornerbacks in the draft. I'm trying to get either of them. Like I said, that's why I keep going to that 13th spot. I think that we should really keep an eye on that. And the Texans are a team that we've had trade talks with before. We haven't always completed things, but they're an ally of the Bills, as you can say. Yeah. And Joe Sorsey said, we get Sauce Leroy, he will join you in streaking. So we'll have 2 guys streaking for Sauce Gardner. We're just going to start the shirt, Streak for Sauce.
Hey, this thing we had a probate today, or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Leroy says Stingley will put on a show tomorrow. So it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So
that's the biggest thing to see.
Yeah. I mean, but guys, this was another good show. Very interesting. A lot of knowledge. We dropped a lot of knowledge in this show. A lot of inside information that obviously, we don't always sit around and talk about the things. Sometimes we do a show and it just comes together to hell. We all kind of know the same things. We got our information from other different people. But I thought this was a fun show. It was very interesting. Obviously, in this time of the year where this is kind of dead period, it's after free agency. We ain't got no money left. We're already a Super Bowl contender. We got our franchise quarterback. So not saying the draft's not important, but the draft becomes a little bit more important when you're always looking for a quarterback. What you got, Muki? Doug Whaley. Yeah, make sure that number don't show. He'll be getting calls all night from these people.
Speed down.
But No, I mean, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining tonight. Any final thoughts, Muki? 'Cause I don't know if we're gonna do next week. I may take a break, but I'm getting burnt out.
Just have to wait to see what this week brings. Like I said, this is kind of like the right now. This is kind of like the last hoorah in free agency right before the draft. You know what I mean? So you're going to start seeing an abundance of veterans signing with teams to lock their spot in, because once this week happens, teams are really going to start locking into their draft boards and let the chips fall where they may. Now, if they go ahead and get a guy in the draft that now your services is really no longer needed, so that you're going to be on the outside looking in for till someone goes down or someone gets hurt. So look for a lot of signings in the NFL to happen. This week coming up. If not, heading to the remainder of this week and next week, you're going to start seeing guys signing and latching on with teams. So maybe the Bills will be a part of one more big splash in free agency, or maybe guys like Darrell Williams, guys like AJ Klein to come back and sign for veteran minimums anywhere between $1.5 to $2 million 1-year deals, just to run it back with the Bills to get, like I said, Super Bowl run, familiar with the system, and the Bills win this thing, you can go and get your bag elsewhere. In free agency, again, you can test the market as a Super Bowl champion. So you'll start seeing more guys being signed this week right before the draft.
And before you get to James, don't forget Stevie Johnson has a camp at Highmark Stadium, April 30th. I'll be there. I'll be in town. Mook, you up there April 30th?
It depends. I still might be in Vegas or.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm gonna see if I can drag James. See if I can drag James out there with me if he ain't got nothing going on with UAS that weekend.
We actually be in Boston that weekend.
Oh, you coming up my way, so I'll be up there. I don't even see you that weekend.
Yeah, we'll be in Boston, competing in the tournament that weekend. So I won't be around.
All right.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, my final thoughts, man. Just I'm anxious to see what kind of happens. I'm keeping an eye on Darrell Williams coming back. I don't know why I got a feeling he may come back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I got a hunch he may come back. And if he comes back on a cheap deal, that's when you trade Cody Ford. That'll free up a couple dollars. And Darrell Williams will come back on the veteran minimum. Because don't forget, he still got a nice little chunk from when he got signed last year. So he's probably not too concerned about money right now. That's not probably his main concern. It's just getting on the field, playing to get that bag next year, if that makes sense. So that's what he's probably playing for. So I could maybe see him coming back, maybe a Cody Ford trade. I'm looking for AJ. I don't think AJ gonna be here for the season. I could see him getting traded during the draft. AJ Epineza. So yeah, I think he may be out. When you look at our defensive end rotation, he the odd man out in my opinion. So yeah, and I'm just waiting to see what else is going to happen in regards to veterans. I think the Bills are going to sign at least one more player before the free agency or before the draft.
Definitely.
And then don't forget, you want these guys want to get in the camps and off-season workouts to kind of get acclimated to things and get into mini camps, get into the program, lifting, going to meetings. You want to get into a rhythm. You don't want to just pop up a training camp talking about I'm here. So it's going to be some things popping off.
Most definitely. But as always, man, it was a good show. Like I said, we dropped a lot of nuggets tonight, man. It was a lot of nuggets. And George Dorsey, he asked me, is the hat real gold? I don't know. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you think about that, Joe. It might be, it might not. It might be, it might not. I mean, I don't. No, it's not real good. It's not real good. It's not real gold. I'm not gonna play it like that. I got ops out here. I want nobody trying to get me. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But no, man. No, great show, guys. You guys brought it tonight as normal. I'm not sure if we're gonna do this next week. I'm not sure. We may wait, but if so, maybe I'll do
Something will pop
show.
off. We'll be on next week. Don't worry about it.
I know every week I say I ain't gonna do it. This week I'm gonna take a break. I've been taking a bye week for 10 weeks now. I ain't took one yet. And then I get up. I said, some things can happen. We gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about that. So I enjoy doing it though. It's my therapy to come out here and talk to Bills Mafia and all your followers here, because I do appreciate you guys tuning in. And I honestly tell you the truth, a lot of stuff when you guys are commenting, I'm reading the comments as we go. I'm learning just as much from you guys sometimes as you're learning from me. So I always appreciate you guys tuning in. And we should be back Tuesday. Like I said, as always, we're on mostly every Tuesday, anywhere from 9. We're supposed to be 9:30, but you know, we be late. We be 9:45-ish, but we're supposed to be 9:30 every week. And thank you guys for tuning in. As always, it's see you next week, maybe. But this is nothing personal. I'm your host, JTM, and this is brought to you by Checkers.
These new Checkers fry season chicken tenders are for Joe. Joe wants his son's project to be number one. Whew. So we took our number one famous seasoned fries and added the same secret blend of spices to create Checkers' new fry seasoned tenders. Made with 100% white meat chicken and all coated with our famous fry seasoning. Now that's a winning combination. Genius recognizes genius, Joe. Come get your new fry seasoned tenders. You've earned it. Join Checkers Rewards for a free Buford or Mother Cruncher.
And always, catch you guys later. Deuces.